Welcome back to the Death by Tyranny podcast. Got some crazy shit going on right now. I'm sure this is kind of going to fly under the radar for a lot of people. So we'll kind of slowly ease our way into it. Now, um, the first kind of thing I want to talk about is the IRS is doing a review of its safety protocols and procedures. And what called for this was disrespectful comments online. So they're saying, I know, jumping right into it today, baby. Uh, they're trying to say, I hate this, Mike. I swear that because of right wing extremists and far right people, I guess I'm not sure. They didn't really outline what comments specifically led into this safety protocol or review of their safety measurements and what all they do to protect their IRS agents. And from what I can gather, they're trying to say people online being disrespectful is somehow classified now as being a threat. And this will kind of come in as we look at the big overall picture of things here in a second. What the big part of this is normally you wouldn't think the IRS doing anything internally would be a big deal. And that's not necessarily the important thing to take away from this. The important thing to take away from this is that they are doing what Democrats and liberals have been doing for the last couple of years and redefining definitions. And they're not really being as specific as they've been in the past, where they will take something like a pandemic or a virus and change the definition of a specific word. But they are taking disrespect and threats and kind of exchanging them to mean the same thing. And like I said, it really doesn't seem like it's that important. But it actually really is. Because if you can take online comments, disrespectful online comments, and label them as threats, now you can go after people illegally and, as if they were committing a crime. And I think we will start to see cases where people will be online threatening IRS agents or just being disrespectful, and then that falling and spilling over into the courtroom. And like I said, this is going to play into their overall plan. It also tells us that the IRS has taken notice and is aware about the way things have been taken by the public. They know the $87 billion passing and this Green New Bill renamed. It is got the public kind of riled up. And so the more this goes on, the more you're going to see the IRS get defensive before it gets offensive. And it will be one more thing that the IRS and the federal government can start going after people. You will see people get online and just say, I feel unsafe that the IRS has purchased a large abundance of firearms, and I don't see the reason why they should own those. And if they've now classified being disrespectful as being a threat, then like I said, you could potentially be drug into a courtroom, or you can, if you're someone who's online, very active, you can be censored. And I would almost imagine that if you're one of these right-wing extremist that is being disrespectful online, you will see, audits happening more frequently for your businesses, for your family, for your friends. And I just think about it in this context. If an FBI agent comes to your house and you're disrespectful to them, they're probably going to be assholes. But if an FBI agent comes to your house and you threaten them, they're going to be a lot more aggressive, potentially deadly. And now, so the IRS has made that connection to where they can potentially be deadly as well. And the federal government has given them the tools that they need to do so. They no longer have to wait for the FBI or any other agency to back them up. They can just come to your house prepared with deadly force, wait for you to be disrespectful, and then pretty much kill you or take whatever they were looking for to begin with. I have heard a lot of people say they're starting to compare what the IRS is going to be and what they have been for some time, but even more closely interpreted as the King John and Robin Hood. Except for instead of sending his goons out to collect the tax money, they're going to be sending armed agents waiting for you to be disrespectful so they can take that as a threat and then either execute you or jail you potentially. And when I said that this was kind of going to tie in to everything overall, one of the most shocking things that has come out this week is that the military, or the leadership above our military branches, I'm not exactly sure who exactly is over each designated special forces group. I think it's Special Force Command or Special Operations Command is what they're called. They are now going to be doing a audit and check of special force operators' rooms and vehicles more frequently because they're saying that they are more prone to be extremist or far right. I don't even know what they're trying to say. They're pretty much, and from what I've seen from special force operators on social media, is they seem to be some of the most center political people I've ever seen. Now, they don't really buy into a lot of the made up liberal bullshit, but they are also almost libertarian-esque. And so if you have Special Operations Command looking into these special operators, that to everything that I have seen points to them being center aisle and them to be considered extreme or far right is preposterous. And if they are targeting special operators as domestic terrorist, extremist, far right wing nuts, or yeah, they used a lot of different terminology in this email that I read. If they're going after them, which is, I would assume a lot of people consider cream of the crop when it comes to patriots of this country. They have dedicated a large portion of their life to training, to defending, amongst several other things. And they're very skilled, and they normally use that not in the advantage politically, but to protect this country. So now we have the federal government going after special operators because they are exposed more frequently to right wing ideology. You have the IRS doing safety protocol checks and pretty much arming the base, protecting from offensive attacks because of disrespectful comments online. This is just more evidence that points to the federal government kind of preparing for war. But from who? Well, I will tell you this. Normally, when a federal government puts out nonstop propaganda, I mean just nonstop, towards a individual country or group of people, this normally means that they are on their way and have in the past went to war with those people that they're putting that prop out against. And there are multiple scenarios that really drive this home. If you think about Russia and Ukraine, how much propaganda are they putting out towards Russia right now? At the beginning, global war on terror, how much propaganda did we see that allowed them to make their way from Afghanistan and their hunt for the Taliban into an insurgency into Iraq? Except for this time, the federal government is putting out propaganda on its own people. You've seen them classify parents as domestic terrorists. You constantly see them throw words behind slanderous statements like far right and right wing extremist. Now you even have the federal government targeting their own special operators so that they can search and go through all the special forces members' shit. And I might do another podcast later on tonight, a little bit more enthusiastic. I'm pretty tired. I've been up for a while, so I'm kind of slow. But I can't stress this enough. Every person that I have heard come out on the internet and list their reasons for being prepared, getting trained, buying firearms, body armor, yada, yada, yada. They have all followed up their spiel on why you should do business with their companies with right now isn't the time for violence. We need to stay calm and to do the things that we need to do to get back on track. While paralleling that with the fact that you should be training as if someone was coming to attack you, or to prepare for defending your life, as well as prepping as far as food and safety measures go, like it is the fucking apocalypse, and everything else they can, encompass that with trying to get you to do all of these things. I just don't understand it. Why? Why try to justify doing all of these things and then stop just short of saying that we're going to war with the federal government? When they say that we shouldn't be looking for violence, they're absolutely correct. No, we should not go to war with the federal government on the offensive. But it's coming to the point where we just do not have a choice in the matter. They are targeting everybody from the ground up. They are securing and building up every single agency that they have. They just passed a bill called the Inflation Reduction Act. And what it does is it spends $600 billion of our money, taxpayer money, and a lot of that money is going towards an agency that will audit you every other year. You're going to have to get CPAs that cost thousands of dollars, not to mention what they come up with during their audit and the way that they are building up and kind of making sure all their I's and T's are dotted and crossed. What makes you think that they can't just tell you that you owe a certain amount of money? What is stopping them from doing that? If the IRS audits you and tells you, hey, we're going to make you pay $30,000 in back taxes because of yada, 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 what kind of backup and security do you have to defend against the IRS accusing you of owing that kind of money? And what are the alternatives other than going into debt or just paying the IRS? Because now they have the means and the firepower to either throw you in jail or execute you for not paying this money. And what would you do to stay off the IRS's radar? And I really think this is part of their game plan here. You're going to see the people that have begun to speak out against the federal government and Democrats, liberals, the Biden regime, all of that. Once you really start seeing them go after people that are smaller than names like Alex Jones, you're going to see that little spark of hope and the silent majority actually speaking up and trying to defend itself start to be quiet again. Because they don't want to get targeted by the IRS. And the ATF is going to be looking even if you are quiet. Even if you decide to not be politically, out there, if you decide that you're going to keep your opinions to yourself after you just begun to get the courage to speak out against the federal government, you're going to shut down because you don't want the ATF knocking at your door. What if the ATF knocks at your door, ask to do a multi-gun purchase check? You have just purchased, I don't know, 3 or 4 decent firearms. Who's to say that the ATF won't team up with the IRS and say, this guy had just bought $4,000 worth of firearms, and his income doesn't seem to suggest that he could afford $4,000 worth of firearms. Well, then the IRS is going to go, well, maybe we should audit them. Are they politically outspoken? Oh, they are. They did make conservative posts on the internet. They did meme about Joe Biden. Well, let's go ahead and audit him. Oh, well, now that we have these audits undergoing, what about all of these things? Well, I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but we decided to increase the percentage of taxes being taken out on these things. We decided that you didn't pay your fair share. So now the ATF knows the firearms that you own. They know anything and everything about you, your workplace, probably when you're at work, when you're not at work. They're also going after your finances, claiming that you owe back taxes. And if you do anything to fight back, it is either going to do one of two things: move up the day that you die, or it's going to put you into debt either way. Because if you decide to get a lawyer, if you decide to fight these claims from the IRS, if you decide to seek out legal counsel to protect yourself from the ATF, lawyers aren't cheap. And sure, I could see some of the more dramatic cases getting picked up pro bono during the beginning, but even lawyers will start to shy away from trying to protect and go to bat for conservatives going against the federal government. Because not even lawyers will be safe from the wrath of any of the agencies that you decide to hire them for counsel. So you're just completely fucked all the way around. So what do we do? Because everyone out there that seems to be on our side is only giving you reasons to participate and to give your money to their businesses. Don't get me wrong, I totally agree. Go get trained, make sure you have firearms. If you can afford it, get armor, start prepping, start putting back food for a rainy day. You never know when we're going to get shut down by gunpoint. We've already seen them do it once. But now even the people that are offering those things to us seem not to be on our side. The firearm manufacturers have already openly in court said that they back the ATF, they enjoy working with them, and I'm sure that is to protect their business. But it just goes to show you, when push comes to shove, when the ATF is out right front and center, that even the gun manufacturers that we're purchasing these firearms for are not on our side. The places that offer these training courses, these CCC medical courses, these Rifle 1, Pistol 1 classes, even these people are giving every single reason to take those classes and then following it up with, we are not going to add or help anything that would even suggest that we are going to war with the federal government. And like I said, I am almost 100% positive they do this to protect their business. But at what point are they going to do the right thing? There are tons of people that I enjoy their content. I enjoy what they do. I think they have a good product, whether it be in the physical or in a training aspect. But when is just one of these people going to come out and say that there is no turning this thing around? There is no saving this country without devastating and huge consequences. We are far past that point. And I said this as far as a civil war goes, we are already in it. The federal government has already targeted us. We are already the bad guy to them and 50% of the country. It is just what it is. You can't even be a center political person if you're a parent and you're speaking out at teacher conferences. You're not a parent. You're a domestic terrorist. And now we even see you can't be a special force operator without being targeted as potentially being exposed to being a right wing extremist. They literally have no bounds on who they will go after and who they will target. You've seen how poorly 20 years of sending people overseas to fight for whatever reason went. You know the public opinion on Afghanistan. Well, now 50% of the country supports them going to war with us internally. They have laid the groundwork for saying we are going to war with right wing extremists nationally, domestically, and we are going to go after them for as long as it takes. And on top of that, we have not seen any person who is safe from being labeled a right wing extremist. No matter where you work, as long as you don't support the Biden regime or the liberal communist party in this country, you're not safe. So why are we still talking like we're literally not fighting for our lives in this country? Because that's what it is. They might not be shooting people in the middle of the street, but they are making it to where it is going to be near impossible to feed your children. And any and every penny you make that is extra income, they will take by force. We no longer have our First Amendment to free speech. Our Second Amendment is tremendously handicapped. And every day, we're not getting a better Second Amendment. We're getting more of an amended Second Amendment. Meanwhile, all the forces that are in place to attack the American people are getting more tax dollars, are getting exempt from any of the Second Amendment handicaps. In fact, they're being awarded more artillery, more firepower to go after us. And yet, we still have conservatives trying to convince people to spend their dollars with them while saying we have to do everything we possibly can to not offend the federal government. The first sign of anybody being targeted by the federal government, they crumble. And I get it. Like I said, I understand that most of these people do it for their business. They do it because they know no one is going to come and help them. You know, they have an old saying, and I quote it all the time. I don't know exactly how it goes. But when when they say the Nazis came for the union workers and nobody spoke up, then they came for, the Jews, nobody spoke up. And then they came for me and no one was left to speak up. That is literally what's happening in this country. The Democratic Party is in control and they are going after anyone who does not agree with them politically. Anybody who does agree with them, who wishes to take power or money away from them, they're going after you. And at any time somebody gets brave enough to almost speak out, they shut down because they know nobody is going to speak up for them. And if anybody can hear this, if anybody cares, that is why this podcast is called the Death by Tyranny podcast. And I might have to redo this whole podcast because it's really hot out here and I'm pretty shaky, probably too much caffeine, so I apologize. Maybe we'll try a different time slot and talk about the same thing. Not sure, because this is probably the most important message. It is called the Death by Tyranny podcast for a reason. Because I am telling you, and I've been telling everyone for the longest time, they're not coming for every single person who supports the Republican Party all at once. They're not coming from everyone who has ever claimed to be a libertarian all at once. They are, however, coming for all of them. It's just going to be one by one, gun by gun, and then everyone's death will be by tyranny. And as cheesy as that sounds, that is literally our fate here in the United States. And I think that what is going to really spark it off, what is really going to get the snowball rolling down the hill, is all this transgender, gender dysphoria nonsense that is being shoved down our throat. Here in the last couple of days, the Fourth Circuit Court, I believe that somewhere out in the Carolinas, has decided that transgender people are a protected class. And I know even some people might have already assumed that this was the case. But it was not case law. It is getting ready to be. Even though it is only the Fourth Circuit, the Ninth Circuit will be quick to come after. I promise you that, because I know the Ninth Circuit is out in California. And no matter what these cases are regarded in the context to, eventually and almost indefinitely, it is going to allow people to come after you from not allowing your child to be transgender. And I truly think that this is the topic. This is the thing that is going to really spark it off to where it is undeniable. Because you kind of seen some of the support slowly start to circle and lift up the parents at these school board meetings after they were called domestic terrorists. But it wasn't enough. And even the ones who supported and spoke out about this quickly shut the fuck up when the federal government targeted them. So it is going to take something that happens physically in every aspect. Something is physically going to happen to your child because they have been brainwashed and you cannot stop it. Your child will forever be physically impacted by this Satanistic cult, and that is going to enrage somebody so much that they physically do something, and then the government will have no choice, whoop-de-woo, to physically attack that parent from being so enraged. And then those same people, if they can find the courage to speak out and back up that parent who is attacked for trying to protect their children, and that's when you will see the collide. So other than the one-by-one targeting by the federal government that we have seen for 2 to 3 years now, that is going to be the topic that sparks off the next revolution in our country, which, if you really think about it, shouldn't be all that surprising. It's either going to be that or people are just too far gone. I would like to think that God would not allow everyone in this country to be so warped that they accept this as case law. I would hope that people would find it in their hearts and souls to not allow themselves to be dragged so far down a dark path that they can find the courage to fight against this, no matter what the odds are. Because every day that we allow this to continue, the odds against us grow greater. So just think about that. How long are these companies, whether it be training, merchandise, preparedness, how many of these influencers, whether it be on YouTube, Instagram, wherever, are they going to keep raking in cash from us, the parents, that are morbidly disturbed about what is happening in this country, that instead of just accepting our dollars, they actually stand up and do something? Actually encourage and back the people that they have been cash cowing for the last however long, that the federal government has not only prepared for, put propaganda out for, but is now actually making the war against its own people happen. It almost doesn't even matter. You're labeled a domestic terrorist. The federal government is going to find a way to end you financially, and hopefully not, but probably so at some point, end you physically and spiritually, because nobody came. Nobody spoke out against it. Everybody was too scared of the federal government. That is literally what this country was founded on. The principal idea was not just we the people, but to have people in it that had every resource around them so that they could stop a government from being tyrannical. Yet here we are. When is it going to stop? Or is it already too late? That's what you should be thinking about, not only today, but until we actually do something about it. And with that, guys, like I said, I'm too overcaffeinated, can barely talk as it is. I'm going to go get some yard work done. Like I said, maybe we'll hop on here. Hopefully a couple more people are listening. We can actually get some dialogue going back and forth. But with that, guys, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay prepared. God bless. America first. Peace, y'all.